Hello, my name is Angela. I'm studying international relations and science politics, and now I'm going to talk about climate change, specifically in China. First of all, it's important to understand that the role of environmental problems enter now to the international agenda thanks to the recent decades for the environmental catastrophes, for the pressure of the international community, and also for the international organization that have structured ways to spread the need to build and apply the joint solutions through international cooperation. For that reason, it is important to understand that climate change is a transnational problem that requires joint solutions to stop the advance of the climate change and the phenomenon. This is an important thing to have into account because we need to face the consequences that indiscriminately impact the humanity. So it's not like only a problem of one state or one nation, it's all implied to the world. So we need to think about those joint solutions, including that according to the emission gap report, China is one of the top four emitters of greenhouse gases. So it's important to take into account the commitment that China make. That is, in the coming decades, China will be working to mitigate the advance of climate change. And in this way, in 2060, China will achieve the goal of neutrality in carbon emissions. And in this way, therefore, I want to put into the central of my project, like the principal question, is what actions are China taking to face the climate change and fulfill the commitment by 2060, to understand what are the real steps that China is making to achieve this commitment in this specifically year. To know that, it's important to understand that there are institutional advances. The first one is on 1972. That was the United Nations Conference on the Environment, that was in Stockholm. And here emerged the first organization or institutions that talked about the environment and talked about the importance of joint solutions. The second biggest moment is the Brundtland, uh, that was in 1987, that there was like the first step to talk about the sustainable development. And this conference talked about not only the sustainable development, it's more how the facts of social, environmental, and political facts could be in the same way and don't have a positive interest. So this is important to understand what is the most important moment to take into account the sustainable development. And also the last most important moment was the Paris Agreement. That is the last great advance and concerns that make solutions for all the states that want to sign in. In this way, it's important to understand that the solutions of the principal question and also for knowing the actions that China is making, well, are two basically. One is take into account the nationally determined contributions that are the national politics that all the states that signed the Paris Agreement need to update 5 years until they signed the Paris Agreement. This is also so related to the sustainable development. That is, understand that the environmental, economic, and social facts are the same and has the same importance to take into account as in the politics and also in the national politics. So all of this is important to understand that we need to have this idea of polycentric governance that Elinor Ostrom explained. That is simply take into account that all three aspects can be in the same way and also can be materialized in national determined contributions. Also, this is so related to the focus on meeting the objective 13. So, in conclusion, China faced up the challenge to overcome extractivism as a pillar of the country's economy, but it's possible to take into account in the national determined contributions that they can make national politics more friendly with the environment and also take into account the sustainable development as a best economic model in the actual conditions of the environment. Also, nowadays, humans, now we are living with that conditions that we inherit from ancestor, and it's urgent to understand and to be conscient about the future generation and what is the planet that we want to give them. Also, the international community and all the states need to follow the commitments of the national determined contribution and the commitments that take in the Paris Agreement that it's the only legal mark that now we have to achieve the goal of neutrality of carbon. It's so important to ratify the national determined contributions for have and avoid specifically the changes of the rulers and has a legal mark inside the state to have the climate change as an important topic in the agenda. And also, we need to understand that the states must cooperate to have joint solutions that could be efficient to face the climate change. It's the only way to have like real conditions and real solutions for this phenomenon. Well, finally, what did you learn while doing the English project? Well, I learned to be specific on the subject on and the limit the investigation. Also, I learned about think the topic in simple words, like not make it complicated. The second one is what was the most enriching during the process. Well, could be maybe could be able to write in English, like the second part of this project was for me the most enriched part, and also to think about possible solutions of this problematic and this specific phenomenon in China. And last and finally, how can you apply the process and learning aspects of this project in your interdisciplinary academic field? Well, I now in applying this in my thesis project is related to international environmental problems and how the international community and also international organization it take into account the neutrality of carbon. So this is how I apply this project? And also, how can you contribute to peace and prosperity through this project? Well, maybe I can contribute by understanding that cooperation is a solution to conflicts. Maybe this is the only way to find agreements between opposing positions in life, in politics, in the normal life. So maybe this could be the contribution for this project. So that's all. Thanks for all. I'm Angela. Bye.